Parents, how did a kid Uno reverse your rules? My 10-year-old daughter, Lily, kept tattling on her younger brother constantly. Every 5 minutes, it was, "Mom, Tommy touched my stuff." Or, "Mom, Tommy looked at me weird." Or, "Mom, Tommy breathed too loud during my show." I was losing my mind with the constant interruptions throughout every single day. The breaking point came during an important work call when Lily burst into my office screaming that Tommy had walked past her bedroom door without asking permission. First, my boss and 3 clients heard the entire meltdown through my microphone. I was absolutely mortified and knew something had to change. So, I implemented a tattling tax system. Every time she tattled on Tommy for something minor or petty, she owed me 25 cents from her weekly allowance money. Only real emergencies were free, like if someone was actually hurt, breaking something valuable, or doing something genuinely dangerous that required intervention. I spent an entire evening explaining the system carefully to both kids, creating specific examples of what counted as tattling versus legitimate concerns that needed my attention. Lily seemed to understand the rules perfectly, and even nodded enthusiastically when I said this would help her think before complaining. Tommy just looked absolutely relieved that his sister might finally leave him alone. The tattling stopped immediately and completely. For 2 absolutely blissful weeks, our house was perfectly quiet. No constant complaints echoing through every room, no sibling drama, interrupting my work calls or peaceful evenings. I could actually focus on important tasks without being summoned every few minutes to referee microscopic disputes. Tommy seemed genuinely happier during this peaceful period, playing freely in common areas without his sister, monitoring his every single move like a tiny surveillance officer. He started laughing more often, running around the house without constantly looking over his shoulder, and even began voluntarily leaving his room instead of hiding from Lily's watchful eyes. I bragged extensively to my mom, my sister, and my coworkers about my brilliant parenting breakthrough. My sister asked for detailed instructions to try with her own constantly bickering kids. My mom laughed and said I should seriously consider writing a parenting book about creative discipline techniques. I was feeling incredibly proud of solving our biggest household problems so elegantly. But after those perfect weeks ended, Tommy gradually started acting increasingly strange and withdrawn. He'd visibly flinch when I walked into rooms and kept asking completely random anxious questions like, "Are you mad at me about something? Or did I do something wrong today?" When I asked what was specifically bothering him, he'd just mumble, "Nothing, never mind," and quickly run to his room. At first, I assumed he was just adjusting to having less daily conflict with his sister. Kids can be weird about changes, even positive ones that should make their lives better. But his behavior kept getting progressively more anxious and fearful over the following days. Last Saturday morning, I was quietly folding laundry in the hallway when I overheard Lily talking to Tommy in the playroom nearby. Her voice had this eerily calm, almost professional businesslike tone that immediately made me freeze in place and listen more carefully. "Remember, Tommy, if you tell Mom about the broken lamp hidden in the basement, I'll tell her you were the one who drew those crayon marks on the bathroom wall last month, and about the time you didn't brush your teeth for 3 whole days straight. And when you snuck those chocolate cookies from the pantry after bedtime." I dropped the towel I was holding and crept closer to listen, and my heart starting to pound with growing dread. What I heard next made my blood run completely cold. "I've been keeping detailed track of absolutely everything you do wrong, Tommy. I have a whole notebook with dates, times, and descriptions. So, if you want to keep being Mom's perfect good boy, you better do exactly what I say when I say it. Starting with giving me all your Halloween candy and birthday money from Grandma." I carefully peeked around the corner and saw my sweet daughter calmly explaining to her absolutely terrified little brother that she'd been systematically collecting detailed written evidence of his minor rule breaking for weeks. She had an actual spiral notebook open on the coffee table, filled with neat handwriting, documenting dates, and comprehensive descriptions of Tommy's smallest infractions. She wasn't tattling anymore because she didn't need to tattle. She transformed into a calculating miniature rhyme boss, using her carefully curated silence as powerful leverage to control Tommy entirely through systematic psychological manipulation and threat. Every lesson is a seed. It only grows when you nurture it with action. Let today's learning spark tomorrow's progress, and let each step you take turn knowledge into power. The lesson ends here, but your journey begins now.